Okay, so good morning, everybody. If you'll notice my background today, this is the only time ever that I will have this background. I asked for ideas for short videos that I could make about bridge hands, incorporating some of the ideas you'd like to hear me talk about. The response has been pretty overwhelming. So when trying to figure out how I was going to tackle getting to all this stuff, I figured that the best place to start was just with the Tuesday night hands and go through them and figure out if there was, a hand that I could talk about that actually touched on several of these ideas. And lo and behold, I didn't have to go any further than hand number one to find a great example of what we can talk about in today's video. So we're actually going to touch 5 topics that people talked about. One of them is how high to compete in the bidding on competitive part score type deals. Number 2 is how to use your spot cards when you're defending a hand, which is sort of hand in hand with the third point, which is signaling on defense. Fourth defensive idea is that you want to be estimating how good your partner's hand is likely to be on defense. And the fifth topic for today, and all this stuff sort of blends together, but it's all individual stuff that people mentioned, is the concept of active versus passive defense. So all 5 of those are featured prominently in today's deal, which is hand number 1 from Tuesday night. Just in case you guys are wondering what goes on in my browser before I log it into BBO, I have 3 tabs open today, and this has pretty much been what's been going on for the last 72 hours, with the exception of about 5 hours of sleep for me. Many of you probably feel the same way. So I've got 538 opened up to the live blog, and I just refresh it obsessively, like every 5 minutes. And then I have the Bovada money line on who's going to win the presidential election. I actually thought maybe there'd be kind of a good short video on what a money line means for any of you guys who are wondering about that. I like paying attention to money lines on anything you can bet on that has an unsure outcome, just because it's usually a pretty good indicator of how likely something is. So if you've got politics, if you've got futures, the most obvious example is sports, and you really want to know what people think about it, a good proxy for that is where they're putting their money. Okay, so that's kind of a good idea, a good concept in other areas too, is that you should take more seriously the opinions of people who are willing to back their opinions with money, either directly or indirectly. So anyway, on to this first hand. And literally this is hand 1 from Tuesday night, November the 3rd. So let's look at this deal, and I'm going to tell you what happened at a couple of different tables. I'll give you an auction that happened at our table. And for right now, I'm going to go over here to this account tab, to settings. This is settings already. And I'm going to slide off these confirm bids and confirm card sliders just so that we can go quicker in the video. When you actually play, I suggest that you slide these on because it really helps prevent misclicks. Okay. So let's go to the action here. North passes, east passes. I'm going to go ahead and turn these sounds off too. South has 13 balanced and opens just your longer minor when you're balanced, with a hand that's intending to either raise partner's major response or rebid 1 no. I was sitting east here. My partner, Henry Ehrenhaft, overcalled a diamond with the west hand. If you remember back to our idea on what you're trying to accomplish with an overcall, one of the ideas is that you want to attract the right lead, and certainly diamonds is the best suit that West has, and goes ahead and matched them. We're really not going to get to a game here once East is a passed hand, right? There's kind of no way that East-West can have the strength to get to a game, but it's still worth overcalling a diamond. That is where you live. That's the suit that you have. North bids a spade. I'll show you something a little bit fancy I did here. So getting to the first of our points, which is the law of total tricks. One of the things that falls out from that concept is we normally want to be competing to the level of the bidding that's commensurate with the number of trumps we have. So since West has almost surely got at least 5 diamonds here, when you're sitting with the East hand, you ought to be thinking, look, the opponents have a spade fit, I have a diamond fit, we have a diamond fit. And the reason I know that the opponents have a spade fit is because my partner wasn't able to make a takeout double or overcall a spade. And I'm looking at 1. So the opponents, like 99.44% of the time, have a spade fit here. So I can already kind of anticipate the problem of the deal is going to be, do we sell out, do we defend a spade contract, or do we declare a diamond contract? So the message I wanted to send to my partner was, I'm willing to compete to the 3 level. That would normally be based on my knowing that our side possesses 9 trumps, which I do here. And also, I have a little bit of defense. Okay, so I don't have a great hand. If I had a great hand for diamonds, I could, say Q-bid one of their suits, 2 clubs. Well, we won't get into what the difference between 2 clubs and 2 spades is here today, but suffice it to say, if I wanted to show a good hand, generally the idea is that I would Q-bid one of their suits. I don't have that, right? And I don't want to bid just 2 diamonds, because that's just going to let South raise to 2 spades or 3 spades, whatever is appropriate, very easily without taking up much room in the bidding. And then when it rolls back around to me, I'm still going to want to be able to compete to 3 diamonds based on having 9 trumps. So I don't want to let them exchange information at the 2 level when I can force the auction up a level higher. So the idea is, if you are willing to get to the 3 level ultimately, get there as quickly as you can. There's one more bid that I'm going to reject, and that's 3 diamonds. So 3 diamonds here really ought to be just a strictly preemptive hand. You don't have the good hand because you didn't Q-bid. And you're willing to commit to the 3 level. So it's probably just a bad hand with 4 trumps. So I can say I have something in between, a hand that's willing to commit to the 3 level, but that also isn't broke defensively, right? I have some defensive prospects here. And the way I'm going to do that is called a jump Q. And this is what's called a mixed raise for partner. It is a virtual raise to 3 diamonds, but it says, look, I have some defensive prospects. I'm not just bidding 3 diamonds based on completely on shape. I've got a little bit high cards point wise here. You might want to think of it as like in the 6 to 9 range. If I had hit something better than that, I would Q-bid one of their suits simply, like I'd bid 2 clubs. So when you bid 3 clubs here, and if you want to explain it, let's undo that quickly. This is, the name of it is a mixed Q, but really we ought to be explaining what our bids mean. So if I want to explain that to the opponents, and really you should probably do this, you would say 4 plus diamonds and single raise values. You could say 6 to 9 points. One of those 2 descriptions would be fine. So let's put 4 plus diamonds, single raise values. And the auction continued 3 spades by South. Good job of supporting with support here. My partner had nothing further to say. So let's talk about that for a second. In these auctions, you are not competing higher based on, so at this point, like North-South established a spade fit, East-West has established a diamond fit. You are not competing further based on points. It's all about shape here. So if you have a surplus of shape relative to your previous bidding, that would tend to make you keep on bidding, right? Shape leads to offense. Balanced hands tend to defend. And if you look at my partner's hand here, the West hand, there is no extra shape. It's a balanced hand that's already shown a 5-card suit. So he actually has the least amount of shape that he might potentially have on this auction. So we are passing here, passing, not saying anything about high cards necessarily, just saying I don't have some unexpected amount of shape that would make me want to declare this hand rather than defend this hand based on my previous bid. So he's going to pass, North's going to pass, and it came back to me. I thought I had a pretty tough decision here, whether to bid 4 diamonds or just defend 3 spades. Ultimately, I decided with a singleton spade and, you know, a little bit of shape based on that, that I was going to bid 4 diamonds. Some of this is based on the vulnerability. I knew that the losing situation would be if I bid 4 diamonds and it turns out that that contract's down and 3 spades would have been down if I'd chosen to defend it. That's the disaster scenario. I decided that there was probably enough shape on the deal that wasn't where I wanted to invest my money on the deal. All I'm trying to do here is go plus. I'm trying to figure out if you know, maybe 4 diamonds makes, what's more likely, that we're beating 3 spades or we're beating 4 diamonds, or making 4 diamonds, I should say. So I ultimately decided to bid 4 diamonds. And this, again, like, isn't invitational, nothing about this. 4 diamonds literally says I would rather play 4 diamonds because I think we, over the range of hands that might be out there, we'll get a better match point score playing 4 diamonds than we will defending 3 spades. And we played it in 4 diamonds. My partner made it. It was basically on the jack of clubs being with North. So he ended up losing 2 clubs and a spade. And if we think about it from a counting tricks perspective, he scored the 5 diamonds in his hand. He scored the ace king of hearts for 7. He roughed 2 spades in the dummy for 9. And he took a club trick for 10 because the jack of clubs is in the pocket. So the way you'd probably play this club suit is just run the 10, and you're crossing your fingers that the club jack is on your left. Okay. And it was, so we get plus 130. If you look at the match points here, plus 130 was 90%. Anyway, that's enough of the law here. Let's spend the rest of our time talking about what would happen if we defended a spade contract instead, because there's some pretty cool stuff that goes on here. So for the rest of the video, we're going to pretend that I passed here. And we are just going to defend 3 spades. So our 4 topics that we have left to talk about are spot cards, signaling, calculating partner strength, active versus passive defense. And let's see how much of that stuff we can tackle compactly here. So East is going to be on lead, and if you are leading 4th best, the idea would be to lead the 3 of diamonds. You are strictly telling partner what your count in the suit is. If you are leading 3rd and 5th, the idea is you would lead your 3rd best, the 6 of diamonds. But let's assume that we're just playing 4th best leads here, and we lead the 3 of diamonds. By the way, the idea that we have 4 diamonds here, at least, is somewhat redundant because of the fact that we made that mixed raise. But we really would never be making that mixed raise with only 3 diamonds. So there's some idea that maybe your diamond card here speaks more about whether you have something in the suit or not. Let's just go with the simple count method for a second. So we lead our 4th best diamond, and partner wins the ace. And if we weren't, as East, if we weren't looking at the king, we would now know that Declare had the king, right? Because our partner with the ace and the king would win the king at trick 1. So let's shift the focus to West now and talk about these other ideas. On the auction, North was unable to open the bidding, and East showed something in the 6 to 9 range. And if I look at the dummy, it looks like partner probably has the king of diamonds, probably the jack of diamonds. Those are 2 cards that are very likely. He has to have at least one of them, right? Because we know Declare has 1 diamond left. How do we know that? Well, our partner led to 3, and we're looking at the 2, which meant he had 4. We had 5. The dummy had 2. Oh, excuse me. And Declare must have 2 also. So partner definitely has either the king or jack of diamonds. Probably a pretty big favorite to have both of them. Anyway, that's 1 card. He doesn't have any big cards in clubs. He might have the king of hearts, might have the jack of hearts, and it's pretty unlikely that he has anything in spades, although, you know, he might have the singleton king or queen of spades. The next thing I'm going to think about, and it's never really too early to start thinking about this, is this an active or passive defense hand? And if I start thinking about that dummy and whether there's anything threatening in it, yeah, there's some threatening things in the dummy. First of all, the ace king of clubs might go along with Declare having something like, you know, queen 4th. That's a possibility, and the club suit could be setting up. The heart suit is potentially something where Declare could set up the hearts to pitch away a club loser. There's stuff in the dummy that makes me think we need to be getting our tricks right now, and that would be what's called an active defense. So if I look at the rest of the hand, so we've estimated our strength. We've used the spot card lead of the 3 plus the auction to figure out what the shapes are here. And we've determined that dummy is kind of threatening because I can see Declare, as soon as she gets in, you know, pulling the trump and setting up a side suit and potentially some of our tricks going away, right? Either maybe we get a heart ruff or maybe a club trick goes away on hearts, right? So I think the best way to combine all your chances here is to see maybe the partner has the king of hearts, and the play can go ace of hearts, king of hearts. She plays a 3rd round of hearts, and I rough it with a spade, which is not a natural trump trick for me unless partner has the queen or the king. And in fact, let's see, if partner's spade is the queen, we don't even have a trump trick. If partner's spade is the king, it's possible we don't have a trump trick also. So we're not roughing with a natural trump trick, and we are potentially roughing away one of Declare's heart tricks. So this is all good. It looks like, you know, the idea is to play the ace of hearts, see what partner thinks about that idea, and if partner says, hey, I don't like it, we can just go back, cash our diamond trick, and sort of just punt at that point, maybe get out another heart. And it, you know, we like to say that we don't lead naked aces, and that's generally true. But here, if Declare has the king of hearts and we lay down the ace, we're probably not blowing anything. All right, so it's worth laying down the ace of hearts just to see if partner has the king. And for the rest of this hand, we'll continue with standard signaling methods. So West leads the ace of hearts, and this is an attitude situation for East. He wants to give an attitude about whether he likes the line of defense that West is adopting. And really the only reason West would be shifting to the ace of hearts here is if he has something like ace and 1 and wants to rough the 3rd round. So kind of what we're talking about here is, do we have the king or not? Do we want partner to continue hearts or not? And we are going to use the 5, the 3, and the 2, our spot cards, to send our attitude about that. Attitude when partner leads. So the rookie way of thinking about this is, hey, look, I've got the 5, the 3, and the 2. They're all small cards, and fall into a trap of, I guess, like the nominal value of the cards is that they're all small. But realize that with a good partner, he's going to realize he hasn't seen any of these cards. And a good partner is going to be watching like a hawk to see if you play the 5 or the 2 or the 3 here and try and work out what that means. So rather than think this couldn't matter, these are all small cards, the idea instead is I'm going to give partner the best chance to go right. When I play a high spot card, that means keep it coming. When I play a low spot card, that means go back to some other idea. What you're the dance that you're trying to do right here, I'm not following. Okay, so don't be lazy and think this card doesn't matter. You are trying to help navigate the defense for you and your partner to score the maximum number of tricks. And the idea is you play the 5. Okay. So West, seeing the 5, should think, well, is that a high card or a low card? And then notice that the dummy had Queen 10 8 4, and his remaining spot card is the 9. And Declare played the 6. And here's a dirty little secret about Declare play. Most declares you run into, especially at the lower levels, are not false carding. They are just playing their smallest card. So against most declares, when they dump that 6 there, it's an honest card. It's just their lowest card because they're not even thinking about these considerations. All this as it may, that's just a little tip you can use as Declare is, first of all, when your spot cards can't matter, you might want to be using them for deceptive purposes. Perhaps in a later video we could get into how to do that, but I'm just throwing out the idea that you might want to muddy the waters by not always playing your lowest card. Even if I'm playing against a deceptive Declare here, I would reason, look, I haven't seen the 3 or the 2. It's very likely that the 5 is actually an encouraging signal, a high heart. Okay, so I'd continue the heart. Partner wins the king. That's great. The next idea is that we are going to give partner a heart ruff. Okay, and we can use the size of our heart card to say which suit we want led back. So it's a suit preference situation. And again, don't get lazy and say, my partner's not going to be able to tell the difference between the 3 and the deuce. Maybe your partner isn't, but my partners are going to be watching to see which hearts have been played. Okay, so the idea here is the higher heart would be for the higher side suit, here diamonds. The lower heart would be for the lower side suit, here clubs. And since clubs can't really be right, like we can't really, the board's got ace king of clubs, and there's no way in the world we have a club void. So if we play the 2 of hearts here for the club suit, we're not really asking for a club. What we're mainly doing is saying, I don't have the king of diamonds. You can't get to my hand with the king of diamonds. Okay. Whereas the 3 of hearts says, I've got the king of diamonds. Feel free to lead a diamond to me if you want a 4th heart played. So we're going to play the 3. The 3 is for diamonds because diamonds are higher than clubs. The 2 would be lower, clubs instead of diamonds. And clubs here isn't like an active thing. It's just saying passively, I don't have the king of diamonds. Why are we only talking about clubs and diamonds and not spades? In these suit preference situations against trump contracts, we take the trump suit off the table. Okay, and there's only 2 suits remaining. So we play the 3 of hearts. The partner says thank you and roughs it. If our partner has been paying attention here, he will realize that the 2 of hearts is the only outstanding heart. And it's probably not with Declare because we sort of doubt that Declare has 4 hearts on this auction, because very likely if Declare had 4 hearts, the auction might have gone negative double after a club, a diamond, so such that North-South wouldn't lose a heart fit if one existed. So there's very strong inference here that partner is the one with the 2 of hearts that's left. So the 3 should suggest that he has the diamond king. All right. I realize like maybe all that stuff sounds like hocus pocus, but there's nothing here that's unattainable or really like that crazy. It's all like beautiful, elegant logic. And we're cooperating with a partner. We're trusting each other to both see the problem and be trying to solve the same problem. Okay. So that being said, partner can lead a diamond back, right? And if you want here, you can go ahead and I guess lead the 10 of diamonds to say, please play another heart. The size of your diamonds can't matter. We know that the Declare's got 1 left and partner's got 1 left. Partner wins the king of diamonds. And now we're going to do something called killing the discard. So notice that like if Declare just had the lead right now, she could draw the trumps and pitch the club loser on the queen of hearts. But if we play a heart right now, we kill this discard. And now in the end, the defense has to come to a club trick, right? I'll leave that as an exercise to the reader if you don't immediately see it. But East-West is going to come to a club trick now because we roughed away the winner. So the defense that I just showed you was executed perfectly by Vladimir and Tatiana Stemkovsky. The only slight difference, they were saying the same things to each other, but they play upside down signals. Okay, so their spot cards were just inverted in certain situations, but the conversation was the same thing, right? I'm leading the suit that you overcalled. That's what E says on opening lead, and I'm telling you how many I have, probably by the size of my spot card. We kick the ball over to West when they win the ace of diamonds. Is this an active or passive defense hand? It's active. I'm going to try to get heart roughs. I play the ace of hearts to start that. The ball kicks back to East's decision point. Do I like what my partner's doing? Yes, I have the king of hearts. I will play a high heart to say positive attitude. Please keep that coming. Back to West. Great. I'll lead another heart to you. Back to East. Which suit do I want partner to return after she roughs this? Diamonds. I have the king of diamonds. I can let her know that. Heart rough over to West. Sweet. 3 is probably high here. Let's lead a diamond back to my partner's presumed king. I can actually lead a high diamond to say, please lead another heart if you have that. Diamond to the king. Heart to kill the discard. And you get the maximum number of tricks against spades. So this video went a little bit longer, but we did tackle a ton of subject areas that people asked about. So to review, 5 points. 1, how high to compete in the bidding. I know we didn't get into the law, but there's some videos out there about that already, and I'll make a different video almost surely that goes through kind of like the nuts and bolts, the numbers of that. Number 2, using your spot cards on defense. Number 3, the appropriate signals to be sending. And signaling, like, you shouldn't think of signaling as, I mean, you could just memorize it as you could with anything. That's never the type of teaching or learning that I would advocate. I would just say, generally speaking, and again, experience helps with everything, but if you can figure out what the problem is on defense and what partner needs to know, these signals are going to start coming more naturally. You're just going to realize, oh, partner wants to know if I want this line of defense to continue. Oh, partner's going to want to know after she roughs this which suit to come back in. And it's all just, it'll all naturally fall into place a little bit better. We talked about the idea of calculating partner's estimated strength based on the auction. A little tip on that one, it's going to be much easier when the opponents show a specific number of points. They usually do that by no trump bidding, either rebidding no trump or opening no trump. Here it's a little bit different because when suits are being bid, sometimes it's ambiguous what the strength is. Like here, West knew that North didn't have an opening hand and didn't bid game, but the range is something like, I don't know, 6 to 11 or something like that. Whereas if he had opened a no trump, we'd have a tight little window like 15 to 17. Here we kind of estimated partner strength more based on that mixed raise that she was able to give that said a couple of important things, 3 important things in one fell swoop, that mixed raise. First of all, jacks the auction to the 3 level and denies South the ability to rebid 2 spades. South's going to have to compete to 3 spades now, which is a little less comfortable. 2, the approximate high card strength, which is like, 6 to 9. And 3 goes ahead and competes to the 3 level based on knowing that we have 9 diamonds. And the 5th thing was active passive defense. We saw that operating at trick 2, thinking about the hand, looking at the dummy and asking if there are places that the tricks can go away, thinking, yes, the club suit could set up, the heart suit could set up. It's time to try and take our tricks. I'm going to lay down the ace of hearts, get an attitude signal from partner. Okay. And then there was the 4th thing about killing the disc, or 6th thing about killing the discard. Anyway, lots of good stuff on that. I didn't have to contrive an example. I went to hand 1 of Tuesday night and found 5 topics. There's an amazing amount of things that go on in a part score deal on the very first board you end up looking at. Like literally, this is not, I didn't think like, oh, I know exactly the hand that's perfect for this talk. I just went to my hand history and boom, hand one, 5 things we could talk about. Anyway, that knocks out a couple of the items we wanted to talk about, and I'll look forward to doing more of these videos that tackle the topics that you wanted to talk about. Sometimes we use hands from the Raleigh Bridge Club game. Sometimes I'll make up PowerPoint slides, something like that. But it's cool when you're able to organically take a hand that happened in practice and hit so many bullet points. So I hope you enjoyed this video. A little longer than I wanted to do, but there was a lot of meat here, honestly. So have a good day and go blue.